Namaskar to everyone, and welcome to this session of questions and answers. We're here another week. Every week we have these sessions, so I'm happy to be here with you today and grateful also. My name is Dian, and I'm here on behalf of SSRF, Spiritual Science Research Foundation. And just for those of you who are here first time, I will share some introduction before we start the question and answer session. So, Spiritual Science Research Foundation is a non-profit organization. It is an all-volunteer organization, which means that all the spiritual seekers who help with the different tasks, different services, to support the activities are doing it on a volunteer basis as a part of their spiritual practice. And that includes me also. I'm also doing this as a part of my spiritual practice to share what we have learned over the years and to help you in your spiritual journey. SSRF has two objectives. One is to educate society about the spiritual dimension and how it impacts our lives. And for this purpose, we have around 800 articles on our website in English, and it's translated in 23 languages. We also have a YouTube channel with over 15 million views, and we also have social media, Facebook, Instagram, and so on. And we publish different research and different articles about topics of spiritual healing, spiritual practice, overcoming obstacles, and spiritual growth. And we do this in cooperation with the Maharishi University of Spirituality, which is a unique and premier institution in India that specializes in spiritual education and also spiritual research. And this research on different topics has been presented in over 100 conferences, scientific conferences around the world. So together with Maharishi University of Spirituality, we publish this information. We also have different online meetings because our second objective is to guide those who want to grow spiritually, to help them, to give them direction, to answer their questions. And we have online meetings. We have around 50 online meetings in 9 different languages. And we also have a live chat service on the website, which is active throughout the day in also, I think, 8-9 languages, where you can ask your questions and our seekers, volunteers will answer you. Sometimes they will answer later on email, sometimes they will answer directly real time. And we also conduct lectures and workshops around the world. We have done almost 1,000 lectures and workshops. We traveled in North America, Asia, Europe, Latin America. In my case, I've been traveling in Europe and Latin America mainly. And so that is a short introduction. Before we start with the questions and answers, usually we start with a session of chanting. Chanting is a spiritual practice that can be done in any place at any time that helps us to clear the mind of thoughts, concentration, meditation, and to imbibe positivity and divine energy and divine consciousness. And it is simple. It's just to repeat a divine name. There are many divine names. Usually people repeat a name according to their religion, if they are connected to their religion. Otherwise, they repeat a universal chant. And we will play that universal chant now. And we will chant for 2 minutes. And then we will start with the questions and answer session. I see that someone has already asked the question. So anyone else can also think about it and ask your question afterwards. So we will start with the 2 minutes of chanting. You can close your eyes, relax, sit in a comfortable position, concentrate on the sound, and try to repeat it in your mind.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay. Basically, we can open the eyes. So everyone is feeling nice, feeling better. If anyone wants to share, you can share in the chat of YouTube or Facebook. Just to share that before we start, that every month, twice a month, we have the impact on moon, full moon and new moon, and tomorrow is such a day. So around the full moon and new moon, 1-2 days before and 1-2 days after, there is more increase in negativity in the environment. This is explained on our website, why and how it happens. So we can feel like pressure, lethargy, less energy, more thoughts, negative thoughts. So during those days, we can increase our chanting. We can increase our spiritual practice that will help us to remain protected. So we can start with the questions. There is one question from Priya. Namaskar, Priya. Priya shared, I feel overwhelmed and distracted by all the noise inside and outside of my residence. I feel it keeps me from chanting, as all of this is so distressing. What can I do for this? So depending on the type of noise, outside of the residence, let's say there is traffic or people talking, and inside the house there may be other family members. So for the noise that is outside, that is easier kind of to overcome, because we can, at physical level, we can take some actions to reduce the noise, close the windows, and we can also play the chant in the house or in the apartment and try to concentrate on that. When it comes to the noise inside, let's say if there are other family members, then if possible we can go to a room, separate room, or a place where we can chant in peace and quiet. If that is not possible, then we can take headphones, a headset, and play the chant and listen to it. So this is something at a practical level. We have the chant available to download on our website, and our seekers who take care of the moderation of this chat can paste it for you, so you can download it. We also have the other chant of Shri Gurudev Datta for ancestors. Both chant can be played and listened to while we're chanting. But one thing to remember is that the more introverted we are and the more focused we are, more concentrated we are, the less attention we pay to external things. So at one point, we will not even notice what is happening around when we are in a state of chanting meditation. So that is the target. So if we increase our efforts in spiritual practice, in chanting, we try to do with concentration, try to connect chanting with the breathing or change the rhythm, then we will be able to concentrate within. So Priya, I hope this answered your question. If you have any more questions, please ask. So we can see if there are any other questions, if anyone would like to share. Any questions about spiritual practice, spiritual healing, obstacles, doubts maybe, or if you would like to take the practice to the next level, anything like that. Effin asked. Namaskar Effin, nice to see you again this week. So Effin asked, last time I did an autosuggestion for A3 type, but then I will not take it for next month. So I will be anxious and nervous again if not consistently taking A3 for a longer period of time. And there is another question, how to know the days or periods of full moon. So, okay, I will answer first the easier question, which is about the full moon, new moon, that you can find on the internet very easily. There are many websites that give information on the moon phases. So you can go to those websites and check and put in your calendar when there are phases of full moon and new moon. That will help us to have awareness if we are feeling not so good on those days and to increase our spiritual practice. About the question about A3 autosuggestion. So just for those who are maybe here first time, who don't know, autosuggestion is a phrase that we repeat in our mind that helps to change the impressions in the subconscious mind. So we repeat this phrase 5 times in a session, and we can do different sessions during the day. So we can do in the morning, we can do after lunch, in the afternoon, before sleep. 3, 4, 5 times in a day we can plan to do. And one type of autosuggestion is an A3 autosuggestion. There are different types, A1, A2, A3, B1 and B2. A3 is a type of autosuggestion which helps to overcome impressions related to prolonged incidents. So situation that we have to face, for example, going for an interview or doing some public speaking or going on a trip, traveling. If we have fear, insecurity, any such things, A3 autosuggestion can help. And A3 autosuggestion is a kind of visualization technique where we visualize that the situation that we are facing is going in a good way. So a realistic, but a good way. So often, as you said, you'll be anxious and nervous if not consistently taking for a longer time. What you can do is you can change your A3 autosuggestion every 2 weeks. So you can take for one situation, and then next 2 weeks you can change for another situation. So let's say if we have anxiousness, if it's, for example, anxiousness in taking a school exam, then for 2 weeks we can do for that. Then if there is anxiousness about speaking to in a group of people, then we can take for that. So we can keep changing every 2 weeks. And if you take it for 2 weeks, and if you do it 4 or 5 times a day, definitely that anxiousness will reduce. But the defect that is causing it will not immediately go away, because it takes time, especially if it's something that is deeper in us, that has been there with us as long as we know it ourselves, and it has impacted many aspects of our lives. If it's, let's say, a more severe impression, more strong impression. If it's something more light, then it can go away more easily in a couple of months. If it's some deeper impression, it can take some time. So just persevere with those efforts. Don't stop, but you can change the situation. So you keep working on the same cause, same root, which is causing the anxiousness, but you change the incident which you're facing. I hope this helped. Please share if you have any other questions. So Opal has asked, one of your articles about effect of the author on books, does this mean we should not read books, for example, art books? It's a good practical question. Others can go to our website and read the article about the effect of author on books. So when it comes to books, there are 2 factors. One factor is what is the topic, what is the book about, and the other one is who has written it. So if the topic is, let's say, spiritual, then it will have more positivity than, let's say, if it's a romance novel, or which will have, there are 3 components. One is the purity, which is related to spiritual things or positive things. There is the component of action, passion, which will be something like romance novels. And there is the component of inertia and ignorance, or let's say negativity, which will be something related to, for example, horror books or something like that, something more negative. So the topic matters. And then also the author matters. Even with spiritual books, they're not all the same, and it is not the same impact. So it depends on the level of the person, spiritual level of the person who is writing, and if they are affected, if they have positivity, or if they are sometimes maybe affected by some negativity. So that makes an impact. So we would suggest, generally we suggest that people read books written by saints or spiritually evolved, or any kind of, let's say, some ancient holy texts. So those kinds of books will have more positivity. Art books also can be positive, but it depends which type of art is inside. If it's, let's say, spiritual art, drawn by someone who has a good spiritual level, then it will have positivity also. Shivani has asked, Namaskar Shivani. Do we have to do a removal of black covering all of our life, or it changes with increase in spiritual level? So, it is not like something that we have to look at the whole life. More important is to be in the present and see what we need to do now, if we need it or not. Removing the black covering is something that pretty much all of us need to do to a lesser or greater extent, because we are all to some extent impacted by the negativity in the environment, and we are also impacted by our own thoughts and emotions. So if we have negative thoughts, or if we have anger, jealousy, those things can generate or attract a black covering, which is like a covering of black spiritual energy that someone who has an advanced sixth sense can actually see. It can be, it's dark in color, it can be grayish, it can be around the face, around the head, around the whole body also. So there are remedies to remove this black covering, which are mentioned on the website. And you can go on the website and see how it is done. There are simple remedies that you can do by using your hands. And there is also a saltwater remedy, which you can do to eliminate negativity. So, as per spiritual level, yes, as we grow spiritually, there is more positivity. So we have measured this. We do a lot of research with the universal aura scanner, which is a scanner which is able to measure positive and negative auras, which are energy fields around everything, around objects, people, animals, buildings. Anything has that kind of field, and if someone has a higher positive field and a lower negative field, then they will have less black covering. So yes, if we increase our spiritual level, there is less impact of that covering, but it still happens because there are also negative vibrations in the environment which can still affect us. So everyone needs to do it at some point of time. We are all practicing this. I'm also practicing this on a daily basis. And don't think, oh, I have to do it all life. More think about it, because, see, if such thoughts come, maybe there is a feeling inside that, why do we have to do it, or it's difficult, I don't know. But actually it's a gift, it's a blessing. Because if we don't do this, we will feel more heavy, more lethargic, have less energy, more negative thoughts. So it is only grace and a blessing that we know that this covering exists, and that we can do something about it, and that we know what to do. So there is another question from B.S. Patil. Namaskar, B.S. Patil. In angel therapy, I heard that one can call angels. If it's so, then is it possible to call our Hindu gods also? So some people, they do healing with angels. Some do with the deities, like you mentioned, Hindu gods. Some do in different ways. So when it comes to healing, it is definitely helpful to pray and to get divine help. We can pray to the deity that we are devoted to, that we have faith in, because faith is a big factor of spiritual healing. It will work regardless, even if we chant without having full belief. But if we have faith, it will have more impact. It will go deeper. So definitely you can call, you can pray to the deity, but no need to call many. In spirituality, one of the principles is to go from many to one. So we should focus on one deity that we are devoted to. So please share if you have any more questions. It is nice to see there's so many questions today. So we will continue. Just to share about angels, just one thought came, is that angels are actually at a lower spiritual level compared to some divine principles. There is an article on our website about angels. Angels are positive, but they are more like assistants to the divine principles. And angels generally can help with some worldly tasks, something mundane. But if we want divine help, which can help us to eliminate negativity or help us grow spiritually, it is better to focus on the divine principles. So Jay has asked, when I chant, I'm happy and motivated, and then maybe after 30 minutes, I don't feel like to continue, and the motivation becomes less. What can I do to overcome this feeling? Sometimes it is even difficult to start a chant. For example, I start to feel a headache. What can be done to overcome it? Just read it again to be sure. Yeah. So it is very good that you have that motivation, you have the desire, Jay, to do chanting. And then after 30 minutes you share that you don't feel like continuing. So this can be an effect of negative energies that are affecting us and trying to block our chanting, because you said it's even difficult to start a chant, you're feeling headache. So at that time you can do removal of negative energy. You can use your fingers of your hands while chanting. There are three methods. One is it's called the Sagun Nirgun Mudra. Mudras are position of hands. This is manifest, non-manifest mudra. You can slowly move it like this in front of you and chant. You do this 5-6 times. After that, you can take also your fingers, because when we chant, positive energy exists through our fingers. So when we chant, we can remove the black covering in this way also, around our face, around our eyes, around the chest. If you have a headache, it can be more around your head. And then finally, it's called the Tower Mudra, which is a mudra that kind of cuts through the black covering. And it looks like this, like a house, like a tower, with the two middle fingers. And you just move it like this slowly, 5-6 times, with eyes open. You can do this, it takes 2-3 minutes. You can do this every 30 minutes and during your chanting session. And then whenever you're able to, you can take your fingers, put them together like this, and hold them 2 centimeters in front of your chakra. If you have headaches, maybe you can keep in front of this chakra and chant. If you get tired, you can switch the hand. You can do this as much as you are able to hold hands. You can do a few minutes. So try like that and see what you feel. This usually helps to remove those problems. If they don't fully reduce, it means that we can increase our chanting, and also we should persevere, because just like when we take medicine, sometimes let's say we take some medicine and for some time we don't fully heal, right? It takes time, but we continue with the treatment until the end, and then we get better. So similarly, with chanting, we should continue. Even if we don't feel good, we should continue with it. Because of course, we all want to feel good, we all want to be in state of meditation, be in state of inner happiness, inner peace and bliss, get all kinds of experiences. but it is not always so. And spiritual practice is not something that we should do only when we feel good. We should do it regardless. Even if I don't feel something, I continue. Even if I feel some obstacle, I continue with it. Like that, our practice improves and the obstacles also reduce. So Satish has asked, my son wants to ask if it is okay to consume an infertile, unfertilized egg. So it is everyone's choice ultimately. When it comes to food, we have one very interesting article about impacts of vegetarian and non-vegetarian food, and we have done research also on this, a lot of research, how we are impacted by eating meat, eggs, vegetables, milk, and so on, drinking milk. So drinking juice, drinking coffee, alcohol, there are different things that impact us in a different way. So in general, eating vegetarian food, of course, avoiding alcohol and things like that, keep us more spiritually protected and imbibe more positivity. If we consume meat or eggs, then that does have some impact of negativity that has to get nullified with our spiritual energy that we generated by doing spiritual practice. So if possible, it is better to avoid, but of course it depends on everyone, it's personal choice. More important is to do a spiritual practice, because all these impacts are at the physical level, but more important is to work on our mind, and depending on your son, of course, if he's small and he's not able to avoid such things, then okay, he can eat that, but to remind him to chant. Prunel de Jehovah, Namaskar Prunel, you asked how to overcome the feeling of loneliness and depression. So this is a common question. We get this in these sessions also. I think a few weeks ago we discussed similar. Here there may be two factors. One is at the psychological level. If there are some thoughts in mind, negative thoughts or some emotions, some feeling of insecurity or some need or something like that, that we can address with autosuggestions. And autosuggestion should be very specific for a specific situation. So if, for example, for loneliness, it can be that whenever I feel lonely, I will become aware of it. I will realize that God is always with me, and so I will remain connected to Him and keep chanting. This is one simple one general autosuggestion. But if you have a specific situation, you can share in our live chat, and our seekers will be able to help you. And about depression, we have to study what is causing the depression. So is it because of expectations? Is it because of negative thoughts? Is it because of some trauma or situation that happened in the past? So based on that, we address a different each issue with a different autosuggestion. But there are also factors at the spiritual level which can make us feel depressed or negative. For that, we can take the measures that we just talked about chanting every day. You can start with 30 minutes sitting down chanting, and also removing the black covering. Prunella, I hope this helped. So Priya asked gratitude for your answer, and I was looking for an autosuggestion to help me with this so I can focus on the chant and not to be disturbed by the sounds. Okay, so I want an autosuggestion for that. So it will be something like whenever I hear some sounds and my attention goes there, I will become aware of it. I will bring back my attention to the chant, and I will pray and chant with more concentration. I will chant more rapidly. This is a simple one. It is to help chanting. It is a C1 autosuggestion. There is a type to help us increase our chanting. So I hope this answered your question. Someone has asked, the name is not clear. Why would God create something like hell? So this may be a question in different people's mind. And as per spiritual science, there are different regions, spiritual dimensions, let's call it. Regions in the spiritual dimension. And there are 7 positive regions and 7 negative regions. Earth is considered actually a positive region, even though there is a lot of negativity on Earth as well. But it's considered positive because on Earth we can do spiritual practice, we can progress spiritually, we can reduce our karma. So it is a positive region for that reason. There are some negative regions like hell. And why would it be created is related to the law of karma. And as per the law of karma, which is a irrefutable law, which is a universal law, which governs every living being in the universe, we have to go through happiness and unhappiness depending on our actions, depending on whether the actions are positive or negative. So every positive action generates a merit, and every negative action, like let's say hurting others, cheating, stealing, different things like that, generates a demerit. So the merits, we experience happiness, and the merits we experience unhappiness. So to answer the question why there is hell, first there is the answer why there is heaven. Usually merits and demerits we can experience in our worldly life. But if the quantity of merits is very high, we are not able to get that level of happiness on earth. It is much more. So some part, yes, but there is more. So when we leave the body, we go to a region which is more subtle, and because of that, the level of happiness is very, very high. So the amount of merits give us a lot of happiness. Similarly, if we do acts which generate a lot of the merits, we have to go to a spiritual region which is also more subtle than the physical region, where we have to experience, or where the person has to experience, the unhappiness caused by those demerits. And one other factor is that, see, if what makes the region negative is the beings which live there. So if in some region there are many positive people, it will be a positive region. There will be happiness, there will be positivity. And if there in some region there are those beings who are having more negativity, who have more malicious thoughts and behavior, then that region will become negative. So it is those who go there who also make it negative. So I hope this answers the question. Nothing is permanent. Everyone goes to a certain region for some time till the account of merits or demerits has been reduced enough, because both merits and demerits reduce. We'll go to a positive region, the merits reduce because they're getting spent to give us happiness. Once it is spent, we get born again on earth. And that usually, let's say in heaven, takes around 1,000 years. There are other regions with different time periods. You can read the article on our website. Only in the regions which are higher than heaven, which are regions for the spiritually, let's say, evolved, from those regions we don't have to reincarnate, we don't have to get born again. In those regions we can keep progressing spiritually. So I hope it is more clear that this is just like an account that needs to be balanced. Somya has asked, does craving for money affect spiritual progress? It can, if we act on it. So we have different desires, and on many spiritual paths they say that reduce your desires, the less desires, the more happiness. So worldly desires, let's say things to fulfill, like physical happiness or psychological, like that. Not the desire to grow spiritually, for example, that is different. So we could have different desires for food, for traveling, for money, as you share, different things. And it will be there. That is natural also. As we progress spiritually, we have less and less desires. We have more and more desire to do spiritual practice, to help others spiritually, to grow spiritually. But having a desire in itself does not impact the spiritual progress. What can impact it is if we focus ourselves on the desire to the extent that it impacts our spiritual practice. So let's say, in a practical example, I have a job. So I'm working 8-9 hours a day, which is sufficient to complete my job. And I have enough finances to have a normal life. And then I do the rest of my time, some free time that I have, of course, after obligations, family, all of that. I use the free time to do spiritual practice. Then I can progress spiritually. But if, because of the craving for money, I decide to work 12 hours a day or 13 hours a day when it is not necessary, or I take a second job, and because of that I cannot do my spiritual practice, then definitely will impact our spiritual progress. So in spirituality also, just like in anything in life, we have to make some choices. Mainly it is where our time will go. Money is not the most valuable currency. The most valuable currency is time. Because time is limited. Money comes and goes, yeah? But time, once gone, is gone forever. It cannot be brought back. And we have limited time also because we have many things to do in a day, yeah? Time is the most precious thing. And this life also, we don't know how many years we have, 70, 80, 90. So whatever it is, it's not forever, yeah? So that time we should utilize for spiritual practice. So sometimes we'll have to make choices how to give more time to spirituality. So another question. We have 3 more questions. This is from Saurabh. Namaskar, Saurabh. What should one do when one does not feel like chanting the name of God? Now, this is similar to what we discussed earlier, but so we should persevere if there are some obstacles that block our chanting. But one thing is, what can help us is to realize the importance of chanting. So to remember, why am I chanting? What is my goal? So if we keep some goal in spirituality, it is very helpful. Just like in anything in life, if we want to accomplish something, usually we have a goal that is pulling us, right? So if someone wants to do exercise, they usually don't just do just like that, right? They either have a goal to look better, or they have a goal to have more health or more capacity, something like that. Some goal is there. So we can keep a goal and remember it, that I'm chanting because I want to, for example, have less thoughts. I want to have more positivity. I want to have more divine experiences, like that. So you can remember that and keep making the efforts, because especially initially, later it becomes easy. Later, as you keep doing spiritual practice, chanting becomes automatic also. And we have many cases of seekers and visitors to the website also, different people who have shared that chanting comes in when they are not expecting it also, and even while sleeping. In my case, I had since childhood some nightmares, and there was a recurring nightmare where people were chasing me, and I was not able to run away, and I was not able to fight back. When I tried to fight back, I was not able. It felt like I had no strength. And then after starting chanting, within a few months, I think, in one dream, I turned around to those people who were chasing me and I started chanting. And, and then they stopped, and they turned around and ran away. And after that, I never had that nightmare again. And I had also an experience many times that I would wake up in the middle of the night to get water or something, and I would realize, like, oh, the chanting is going on in my mind. So it was going on throughout the night as well. Or at work sometimes I would experience the chanting is there and I go into a state of meditation. So, of course, it's not always like that. It would be nice. We just sit and chanting happens on its own. But it happens the more we do it, so we can keep that as a target. We give the efforts, and later we will get more and more experiences. To come to that state where it all kind of comes in on its own, we have to do sufficient quantity of chanting. But if you have any questions about it, please ask. So AGK has asked, I'm suffering from back pain from the last 10 years. Please suggest some spiritual remedy. So I'm sorry to hear that, AG. Back pain, you can see with the doctors, physiotherapists, all of these professionals. If there are some therapies or exercises to do or something to be careful about, this is something that we cannot advise. It is not our sphere. We are here for the spiritual guidance. So for those things, you can ask the professionals. But in terms of spiritual remedies, what you can do, if there is some center of black energy which is causing the back problem to be worse, because what happens is that let's say we have some problem, like let's say there is some problem in the spine, a discus hernia or something like that, then if there is a crack or some how to say, some place where negative energy can enter or cover it, then it can cause additional problems. So let's say if the problem is at 50%, then when the impact of negative energy can be 80% or 90%. So for that, it is helpful to do spiritual remedies. So one remedy you can do is, of course, salt water remedy. You can do 15 minutes a day every day, because that kind of helps to pull. Salt has the ability to pull in itself black energy. And we have a video on the YouTube channel and an article on the website how it works. And then also you can remove the black covering with your hands. I cannot show it here, but you can take your hands from the back and pull like this to remove negativity behind. That is one thing, and you can increase your chanting, because chanting in general will bring positivity. If there is a specific problem for the spine or bones or muscles or something like that, we also have an article about chants for health, which has, I think, around 200-300 chants. So you can go and check that article. It's a list of different chants. So you just choose the type of medical problem, and you can start chanting. But this is not a replacement. Any chants for health are not a replacement for medical treatment. It is in addition to medical treatment. So you can of course continue with the treatment, and then also take the spiritual remedy. Ashivani asked another question. Namaskar. Just like Tower Mudra removes black energy by cutting through the covering, how does Sagun Nirgun Mudra work? Good, your curiosity. There is a sentence that says, a quote by a saint actually, that says, only the curious are deserving of knowledge. So actually, when it comes to the black covering, there are many different types. So some are like a cap, like this. Some are like a helmet. Some are like a belt around, like this. Some can be a belt like this over all the chakras. Some can be like almost like a coat over the whole body. So there are different types. Someone who has advanced sixth sense can see that. But in any case, whatever we do with the remedies removes all these different types. And also it is of varying distance, different thickness. Some are more subtle, more fine, some are more thick. Like sometimes you can feel it, like if you do with advanced sixth sense, you can even feel when you approach yourself, there is some pressure or some like a tingling feeling, but not a pleasant one, or different unpleasant things like that, which we feel at different distance. So the three different remedies, the Sagun Nirgun, the first one removes the outer layer of the black covering, which is more subtle, let's say, more fine. That is the first one. The fingers then remove the middle layer, like that, and the Tower Mudra removes the closest layer to us of the black covering, which is usually the thickest one. So that's why we do in that order. That is what they do. And Sagun Nirgun means manifest, unmanifest. This is something that is not talked about in spiritual circles and generally not known. People say, let's say there is energy. There are levels of energy. And there is also different types. There is manifest, there is unmanifest. Manifest means something more gross, more tangible, and unmanifest means something more fine, more subtle. So Sagun Nirgun Mudra means that it's working on both levels, manifest and unmanifest. Sagun means manifest, Nirgun means unmanifest. It's nice to, when we know the science, it helps. It opens the perspectives. Like we feel that it's a deep science. Many different levels of it, many explanations. Yeah, it is not just general like that. And we are grateful that there are some saints who are able to get this knowledge and tell us. We have a few more minutes. We can take one final question from Siddharth. Siddharth asked, Namaskar Siddharth, could you please help me by giving one example of autosuggestion for waking up early? So the first thing here for waking up early is we have to go to bed on time. So at practical level, very simply, if we are waking up, let's say at 6 in the morning, then we cannot go back to bed at 2 in the morning. It will be very difficult. So, and usually at night there is more negative energy. So if we go to bed late, then it's difficult to wake up early. So we should go to bed, if we can, before midnight. Of course, there are exceptions if you have work or something like that, but in general, before midnight, then we'll feel more fresh in the morning. That will be easier. That is at action level. And then at a level of autosuggestions, impressions. Let's say if we have laziness, or we have the habit of laying in bed for 1 hour and not getting up, then it is more due to something in the subconscious mind. It is due to a defect. And for that, we can take an autosuggestion. So, for example, let's say that it is due to laziness or not wanting to get up. Or it can be like also due to casual attitude or non-planning, like, oh, I have so much time, I don't need to get up, whatever is the thought. So we should address it with the autosuggestion. But the common one is laziness. So for that one, it can be, for example, whenever I wake up in the morning and I feel to go back to bed, or I feel not to get up, I will become aware of it, or I become aware of my laziness, something like that. Become aware of it, and I will realize that getting up early will give me more time in the day. So I will promptly get up and start my daily activities. And yeah, and then also at planning level, of course, we can put in the calendar, we can put a alarm reminder, so like that. Okay. So you shared that you go to bed around 10:30, 11, and you want to wake up at 6, but you wake up at 7:30, and due to laziness. Then maybe this will help you. So you set the alarm at the time that you wish. If you wish at 6, then you set the alarm at 6, and then you set the auto-suggestion like that. Whenever I wake up in the morning and it is 6 a.m. and I don't feel like getting up, I'll become aware of it. I will realize it will help me with the day, and I will promptly get up. After some days, after doing different sessions, it will help to increase that impression in the mind and slowly develop the habit to wake up early. So dear seekers, that is it for today. It was going very nicely. There was a constant flow of questions. It was very nice to see how all of you have a lot of a lot of desire to learn and curiosity. So how can Naveen shared stress can be reduced with oxygen intake and sufficient water. See, oxygen intake and sufficient water will help at the physical level, but if stress is caused at the mind level, then it will be difficult to overcome with such physical method. If someone has a lot of worries, a lot of thoughts, then just taking water and more oxygen will not impact as much. We need to address it at the subconscious mind level. So for every problem, it needs an adequate solution. If it's a physical problem, let's say dehydration, then we take water. If someone has a breathing problem, they do oxygen intake. But if someone has a psychological obstacle, it's not called a problem, it's called an obstacle, which we all have different types, then we need a psychological remedy. If it's a spiritual problem, we need a spiritual remedy. For each type of obstacle, there is its correlating remedy. Okay, more and more questions are coming. Okay, but we have crossed the time. Raveen, so it doesn't remain in your mind. A child to get, it's very nice you thinking about a child getting benefit. So for a child, you can advise the child to chant and to read some simple spiritual materials, spiritual knowledge, spiritual stories, stories of saints, stories of people who practice spirituality, devotees, like that, moral stories, anything like that, to inculcate good habits and virtues in a child, in addition to spiritual practice, like chanting. So, okay, Angelica, she's speaking in Spanish. I will reply in Spanish, just for her. Sí, querida Angélica, estamos pensando sobre esto y tal vez vamos a hacer algo diferente en el futuro en español. En este momento no tenemos esta posibilidad, pero puedes preguntar en nuestro sitio web en español. So, yeah, she was asking if we can, she doesn't understand, she needs Spanish translation, so I said at this moment we don't have that option to translate automatically in Spanish, but we're looking into it for other languages also. Okay, so I'm very grateful to all of you for all those questions. They were very inspiring, and I hope that all these answers clarified the questions in your mind. And we will continue with the question and answer sessions in a couple of weeks. The next week is a fundraiser live stream, One World, One Family, where we will share about different topics, different surprises also, about activities of SSRF and stories from our trips. Different stickers will come online, so it'll be very interesting. So we are looking forward to seeing you there. And of course, if you wish to support the mission of spreading spirituality, you can join us. There is a short 40-second clip which we can play now, and then we will log off.
Do you dream of a world where people from all countries live in harmony? Our saints and seekers are changing lives through personally connecting with people like you worldwide. Also, big renovations are underway at our spiritual center in Europe, paving the way for your learning and practice. And our spiritual research is continuing to bring new beneficial findings for you. Join our event to be part of One World, One Family on December 16th and donate as per your capacity.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video. and see you next week. During the week, there are sessions of Sadhguru Siriak Vale for chanting, meditation, which can help you in your spiritual healing. So you can always come and take the benefit of that. On behalf of all the seekers of SSRF, I wish you a week full of learnings, experiences, and spiritual growth. Gratitude and namaskar.